This will be a demonstration of the Quickdraw Weaving program's Tieup Editor. In this case, I've asked for a fairly large tie-up, so I have a canvas to play with here. If I ask for tie-up, my toolbar is slightly different. One thing that's shifted is I've added a fill box. If I want to fill, when I drag the mouse one way or another, it will fill everything there. If I want to, when I come back inside that, I can reverse those guys. Otherwise, whenever I click, it will toggle that. Let me fill in a little bit more of a tie-up. Just fill in a few guys here. Now, frequently when you're dealing with twills, you may want to grab and just pull that tie-up straight across, so that will shift it across up. I could also shift it downwards if I want to. So that's one thing that's changed on that tool. If I want to copy some elements of the tie-up, if I hit a copy, when I come back in and paste them, it's now going to take that, or it will reverse it. So the paste operates a little bit differently. The toggle tie-up will switch the entire tie-up. The toggle selection will take just the area that's within the selected box and toggle it. I also have an ability of sliding. Let me select the entire tie-up. Let me select the entire tie-up. I have an ability of rotating that whole thing left, right, up, or down. The other capability that's kind of buried into here, I have a small tie-up that I'd created using paint. Let me do a Control-C to copy and a Control-V to paste it. Now when I come back over to Quickdraw and I select into the tie-up, if I do a Control-V, it takes that tie-up that was in the bitmap, adds it in, changes the number of harnesses and treadles, since that was a 12-bit bitmap. So that gives me the basic capabilities for tie-up editing. Thank you. This will be an update to the Quickdraw Weaving program's Tieup Editor. Now what I'm going to do is first create myself and do a little bit weird and create a 14 shaft pattern. So it's 14 shafts and 14 treadles. And when I go back, I've got that set up. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of a warp and weft. I don't really need it for what I'm going to do here, but let me drag those guys across. Okay, I'm going to hit a trompus writ, so I've got a warp and a weft. Okay, now, once I've got some tie-up in here, let me add some more. And again, I'm just going to take the drag tool and pull that across, so I've now got a pattern in there. Now, what's been added here, let me grab a chunk of tie-up just for frame of reference. And I've got the new functions you're setting here. The toggle selection says just within the selected area, I can toggle that. I can turn it 90 degrees. I can turn it upside down 90 degrees the wrong way. So I just keep rotating that 90 degrees to the right. I can also reverse it left and right and up and down. And if, for example, what I had actually done was grabbed an oblong portion of it, the reverse and invert still work correctly. But what happens, the turn selection, which is trying to turn a square, is only going to turn that selected little area. So it took that 3x3 and rotated it. And let me put that back where it was. So that's kind of what those new functions do. Now the other thing that's been added, and the reason I asked for 14 shafts there, if I ask for a quarter tie-up, first thing it's going to do, you'll notice the kind of the background cross there, that marks where the quarters are. And now what I can actually do is take whatever happens in the first quarter, and the kind of layout of the quarters is kind of shown here on the toggle diagram. And so I can do whatever I want in that first quarter, and it will be duplicated into the other quarter. Let me clear this first quarter. So that would clear that quarter, and I'm going to ask for a line, and what I'm actually going to do is put a little arrowhead on it so it's a little easier to see what's going on. So you'll notice right now all four quadrants are pointing up left. And so if I ask for the reverse, it's going to take the right-hand side and make them symmetric about the center axis. Or invert does the same thing on the upper half. The turn 90 says that first one is the same direction. Turn 90 degrees to the right, 90 degrees, 90 degrees. Or I could turn that upside down, so it's obviously 1 3/4 are the same, 2 and 4 are upside down to it. And if I asked for both, it actually would rotate it the other direction compared to if I do it without the 90s. I can then also toggle quarters so that effectively it changes face so that you can see the first quadrant, the first quadrant here, the second quadrant is complemented, and I can add those however I want to, and I convert that whenever I make a change. You'll notice it automatically updates the other quadrants. So that's a large part of what's going on, the new tools that are here for managing tie-up, and as you make the tie-up changes, you can immediately see what's actually happening in the pattern.